Hello everyone, welcome to my talk, The Learning Curve, Unlocking the Joy of Completion for Every Player. I'm Keywood, a lived experienced accessibility consultant with APX certification. I'm autistic. I was diagnosed at 4, so part of the early diagnosis group. I'm also a podcaster, review writer. I used to run an indie studio, and I have a master's in games enterprise. I've been gaming since the PS1. Anything older is like my wine knowledge. I know some of it's good, but it's not for me. I'm wearing a black snapback cap, have a big brown bushy beard, a round face, and wearing a navy blue t-shirt. You may be wondering, why am I giving this talk? Well, I'm a trophy hunter. Not the fat, sweaty, rich man on safari kind you may be imagining right now, but the PlayStation kind. That's how I engage with games. I may have a problem, but it is kind of productive, I do promise. As I'm recording, I've earned just over 38,500 since 2008, which puts me in the top 300 in the UK, top 3,000 globally. I'm also a big fan of statistics, so I like seeing all different permutations of things that can happen. So whether that's promotions or relegations in football, or what finishing an old game does to my completionist percentage. So what's going to happen in the talk? Today, we're going to do a quick run through of the evolution of achievements, what motivates players to get them. Then we'll break things down to the good, the bad, and the ugly. A few personal examples from my own experience along the way. You may have a different experience, but at the end of the way, everyone interacts with achievements differently. So we're going to start in a very unexpected place, the 1970s. So before achievements, there was the high scores, 3 letters and bragging rights of the arcade. These systems rewarded optimal performance for players who chased top scores. There was no recognition of creativity. So, for example, there was no reward for completing a level of Pac-Man, only eating Clyde. Justice for Clyde. Now, we jump to the 1980s. This is when Activision introduced patches. So, players who set high scores in their games could send photographic proof of their accomplishment. In return, Activision would send them back a letter of congratulations and a collectible iron-on patch badge. So the letter was really the first verification of success outside of the arcade, and was something give something physical, like a sort of tangible reward, and really was an early benchmark of what we know achievements to be like today, which leads us to 2005. This was when Microsoft launched Gamerscore, and with it standardized achievements on console platforms as we know them today. Sony followed with the trophy system a few years later, and now to release a game on the system they need to include either achievements or trophies. They pop instantly most of the time, and they are a social signal. Everyone can see them on each other's player feeds, and every account really has its own wall of fame, so it highlights not just what you've done, but often, for me personally, it serves as a reminder of what I was doing at the time I was playing that game, and what effort I put into that game. So now we know a quick evolution of them, but why do players bother? So what are the motivators? Part of why achievements are so compelling for many is they tap into the way our brains work. So humans like finishing tasks, and for some, myself included, unlocking our final achievement gives a satisfying sense of closure, even if just for a while. There's also an effect called the Zeigarnik effect, which is where unfinished tasks stick in our mind more clearly than finished tasks, and give us a sort of nudge in the back to go back and complete them. We get rewarded with dopamine when every little pop-up and chime signals, and that also signals that our efforts are paying off with achieving something. And also, something we've all felt probably when buying something, the sunk cost fallacy. So since we've invested so much time and money, we want to get our money's worth and experience everything a game has to offer. But this is also a factor now due to the rising cost of games. So that brings us on to the good. So this is where I want to introduce some of the things I believe have been done to make the achievement system better for everyone. First up is accessibility options. Doom the Dark Ages is a good example of this. It has a game speed option to slow down enemies, which allows players who would never be able to play the game otherwise to be included and have the chance to get the achievements. Like the tagline, it is a Doom for all slayers. Some people may say accessibility is just about making everything easier, but for me that's not the case at all. This isn't a lowering of the bar, but a widening of the door. The second word in the title is options. So swapping button mashing for a hold or single press, high contrast modes, text to speech, adjustable text size, that's for your wobbles. Even tinnitus filters. None of these play the game for you, but remove friction. If someone tweaks their personal experience, it shouldn't affect yours. You can even increase the game speed in Doom to control the snapping difficulty if that's your thing. Nothing's been taken away from you, but it's just no longer being gatekept from those who need the option. Next up is multiple avenues. So this is all about offering different ways for players to progress. So for all the criticism it gets compared to the other games in the trilogy, Mass Effect 3 nailed this. Every multiplayer trophy has a single player unlock requirement. So for example, you can either reach level 15 in multiplayer or level 50 in single player to unlock the achievement. Either approach is valid. I can still unlock this today if I put up my PS3 and got to level 50, and it lets those late to the party still have their cake. The title chapter select is quite self-explanatory really. It's a way of letting players go back and still earn achievements. This is in so many games, but my personal example is Uncharted 4, as there's both a chapter select and a collectibles tracker. So these are great as missing items on your first go. It's not permanent. You can always go back, get them. Many people who go after achievements hate collectibles, so these options are welcomed as they reduce the frustration and encourage exploration without restraint as the system supports them. You can always go back if you miss something. Transparent objectives. So achievements should challenge, but it should come from doing what you need to do, not trying to figure out what it is. So I recently looked at Crimson Desert's achievement list and I couldn't work out what any of them unlocked. If I wanted riddles, I would have stuck Lingo on ITV. So having clear requirements is a big help, especially for someone like me. Knowing the goal, what success looks like, and it respects time as well. So Lego games nail this. Achievements are simple and direct. Complete the level, collect all the mini kits. Do this with character X and Y in your party. And achievements should test your ability and not well how you can interpret what they want you to do. Now we go on to the bad. So this is where achievement design is frustrating and limits people who can engage. These can be fixed, and if your favourite game appears, it's not a dig. All the games included in this section are great games. Playstyle restrictions. So this is when games don't reward you for engaging with the game in your own way, but it dictates how you should play. So don't get me wrong, playstyle-based achievements can encourage experimentation, but the main issue I think is imbalance. So Dishonored, you're rewarded for a non-lethal stealthy approach, but there's no recognition for a high chaos killing everyone playstyle. The stealthy playstyle is validated, the high killing one isn't. Personally, I think if you've reached the goal, that should be enough. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim does this well. Its achievements focus on quest lines, exploration, and not how you get there. You could be a stealth archer wood elf, a heavily armoured node, an Argonian mage. All counts the same. You're not second guessing about missing anything. Next is excessive grind. So some achievements demand an extreme investment of time, and this doesn't test your skill but your endurance. Gears of War has a seriously achievement which requires 10,000 multiplayer kills. The level of grind is a big fatigue setter. Players often stop not because they lack the skill to do the achievement, but if the demand is just unreasonable. Achievement hunters understand that developers want to keep players engaged in the game, and personally for me, sometimes doing a time grind is therapeutic, having done my fair share. But when 80% of the time spent on the game is for one solitary achievement, the balance needs to be sorted, and it does dampen the enjoyment of the game. Next is missable content. So achievements tied to this lock players out completely. Persona 3 Reload, there's an achievement for maxing out all the social links. I remember obviously trying to go for it and realizing quickly that if I didn't have a plan, I would miss a small step. And with that, I started following a guide. But it's not really the way I wanted to experience the game. It stops you from just enjoying it naturally, and you're always worried about triggering something or doing a misstep. It kills the sense of discovery, and perhaps the worst, it feels like admin, and nobody likes doing admin. Next is accessibility gaps. We talked about options just now. So when achievements rely on audio or visual cues or reactions, they can shut players out. Blind players will hit a wall in games when achievements depend on spotting visual details such as items or patterns if there isn't an audio alternative. Deaf players will face issues when progress relies on hearing cues such as enemy alerts if there isn't any captions or visual indicators. For me personally, LA Noir is a good example. So you need to get 5-star case completions, which totally depends on reading subtle facial expressions. So as someone who's autistic, I already have a challenge reading facial expressions, but reading facial expressions on a game whose text still holds up today is even more tricky. Finally, we're looking at the ugly. These should be avoided at all costs and send a chill down my spine. And probably many people in the achievement community. Multiplayer. So when achievements depend on other players, your own progress is no longer in your control. I ran it this last month with Battlefield Hardline. So servers are shutting down this year, and through the website psnprofiles.com, I partly helped to organise sessions to unlock multiplayer trophies with people. So I ended up renting the server. It cost me about £5 for a week. And through that week, I ended up talking and organising around 90 different players, all through group chat on a single voice, all to do tasks that would happen naturally maybe 1 in 1,000 games. It's a great example of many people coming together to meet a common goal, but to have to do it in the first place isn't fun. And as such, the achievement doesn't feel fun as well. It just feels like checking off a tick box. Next is randomness, or RNG, as it's better known. Players don't have any control in unlocking these. So for me in Justice 2, there's an achievement called Catfight, which is tied to unlocking an ability for Catwoman through the gear system. You could spend hours playing matches, opening hundreds and hundreds of the in-game crates, doing everything you see on YouTube tutorials, and not unlock it. It's down to chance. You put all the effort in, all the time in, and you may not have made any progress. And this makes achievements lose their meaning. It doesn't feel like something you've earned, but feels like you got lucky. And that is what makes these achievements perhaps the most frustrating. They're out of your control. Now we go on to glitched achievements. So these are when someone has met the requirement and for some reason it hasn't unlocked. So this happened to me in Blueprints. There was notorious save file wipe glitch and it reset my progress. So I met all the requirements for the entire list, and the achievement for unlocking all the trophies never unlocked, despite having them all unlocked, as the save file I had all the difficult ones on, such as completing the game in one day, disappeared into the ether. There's nothing I could do to fix it, and it is a sense of unfairness that gets amplified, especially when you spend hours and have your effort wasted by a technical issue. Next is Paywalled. FC26 has an achievement called All Aboard the Premium Track, which requires you to finish the Premium Season Pass. This isn't included with the base game. So if you bought the higher tier edition, you get, I believe, one for free, but if not, you have to pay £8 to unlock this achievement, to have any chance of unlocking it. So progress isn't about how you play or your effort, but it's about your wallet. And how big it is. Just to be clear, not blaming the developers here at all. I truly believe this wasn't a call and was a decision from higher up. That being said, it completely devalues the system of achievements and what they're supposed to mean. and turns them from something that is being earned to something that feels like a transaction. In the infamous words of Porky Pig, that's all, folks. Thank you for listening. Scanning the QR code on the screen now will take you to all my social links. Happy to continue the conversation there or on the Discord. If you're a developer of any size interested in making your achievements more fun, feel free to reach out. Happy to help anyone from a solo dev to AAA. Thanks again.